Brilliant. So, wow, quite a full-on intense debate there. Lots of buzzwords, certainly. And I hate to introduce a new one, but we'll get onto that in a second. And if anything, like when we get onto the data-driven side and the questions and topics we're going to discuss today, I kind of wish like I went first thing this morning, because through the conversations that I've had today, it's quite clear that we've got a mixed audience. Those that are perhaps just in soft launch today, those that are just getting started, and those guys that are really sort of guns blazing and leading the way in the industry. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of just bring things back and level the playing field somewhat and kind of have a look at those stages that everybody goes through from launch through to the sort of more challenging aspects, and as I say, those that are really pushing the boundaries. So one more buzzword, and I wanted to kind of hopefully get a little bit of audience participation, just a very, very quick show of hands. So who works in an industry or an organization today that is discussing and talking about omnichannel? Me, certainly. Wow, not that many, which means this is going to be great for you. But it also means that maybe I'm in an audience full of shy people as well. And we'll get there and we'll find out. So, data-driven marketing. We all talk about data-driven marketing, perhaps transforming the way marketers work today, the types of activities they're going about, and the kind of images and the pictures that it conjures up is this sort of perfect world where everything's sort of intricately linked, where we have this sophisticated modeling going on, where everything's kind of connected, the dots are all joined up, and just everything's brilliant and wonderful. Absolute nonsense. We talk about it, but we're not doing it. The reality is, it's something a little bit like this, right? This is what we all sort of, well, maybe not all of us, but we kind of feel that we should be doing, and actually we're getting a little bit lost in the data. It's not perfect. It's not joined up. It's getting there. The accuracy is certainly increasing. We're getting better at number crunching, but by far we're no means perfect. And we know this to be true because we've got some stats of our own. We've done the analysis. Quick 5 facts for you. First fact here: 50% of marketers are not measuring mobile engagement and ROI. That's an awful lot of people in an industry that is now spending more on mobile advertisement than on desktop advertisement. We're talking billions of US dollars. It's absolutely phenomenal, and to think that 50% aren't tracking kind of makes you wonder, what are they doing? If we dig a little bit deeper, we see that 40% are measuring in-app revenue. Now, if we look at the sort of ecosystem today, most people who have an app and promoting an app are probably giving it away for free, running that freemium model and charging for in-app purchases. So if they're not measuring in-app revenue, what the hell are they measuring? Kind of the mind boggles. So I guess really, we must be taking it right back to the basics here. And those kind of trailblazers that I mentioned, perhaps only 20% of them are using cross-channel data and attribution to evaluate all marketing touchpoints. So these are the guys that are really kind of got switched on, and they're doing the hardest to connect all those dots. But they're a rare breed, really. The good news is, there's companies like ourselves that are trying to change this and encourage people to work in a more sophisticated manner and really start to measure not only the basics, but then those finer details of their mobile marketing campaigns. And I wanted to throw it out there and kind of say, okay, so what are you guys measuring? And then, as I say, break it down into those 5 points and hopefully kind of give you an idea of, if you're at stage 1, how do you get to stage 2, stage 3, and get an idea for what that may look like in the months to come as you take your sort of app out of soft launch and then really start to crank up the activity and run those acquisition campaigns. And it kind of looks like this. Hopefully breaking it down into easily understandable terms here. So the installs, they're moving forward into those in-app events, the type of actions that are going on that we're looking to record and understand our user base. We heard it just a second ago then, rich in-app events, the kind of additional data and metadata that you can pick out and really start to understand and achieve business kind of goals. Then, of course, what if you need to reach out to that user who's then become dormant, re-engage? and then understanding from a 360 point of view the true sort of picture and understanding the full ROI that user is driving for your business. So installs, massively important. I think this morning somebody said that they are sort of the vanity KPI. Very, very true. They certainly do go a long way to helping improve your App Store optimization. You know, we know that part of that algorithm is more people using your apps, the more you can appear in the rankings. You're then going to get a lot of awareness through that. And that's what we talk about, the ASA boost there and the organic uplift. It's a massive stage. You know, just the amount of effort that a user has to go to engage and download that brand. Don't ignore it, but certainly don't run your business on it. What I'm saying is you can't go to the bank with this. You can't. It doesn't actually mean anything. It doesn't mean anything in terms of revenue. There's a study that was put out by eMarketer that was actually leveraging some Appsflyer data as well. And you know, this is where we talk about the retention side of things. So once they've installed that app, the clock's ticking. You know, you've got to engage with that user. You've got to go beyond that initial install, and that's when we're starting already to look at those in-app events. You've got to understand that user on day 7, half of them are gone. You know, the clock's ticking. Day 30, we're down to 3%. That's a shocking statistic. So we've got to work harder and work smarter. Just to give you a quick idea here, quick example, I think, you know, when looking to acquire installs, right down at the bottom here, Network 2, you can see straight away that if I'm running my business on installs, this is actually bad for my health, right? Although it's clearly driving the highest volume, the average revenue per user is tiny in comparison. So if I want to acquire and spend more money looking for those higher value users, I'm obviously wanting to put more budget through to Network 2. So if we know that installs is that perhaps key but yet slightly vain metric, we quickly want to move on, and this is where like the fun really begins, I believe. What we're seeing here on the left, all those marketing channels that are in place that are now driving traffic through to the app stores to download the apps. Then no matter what vertical your business operates in, you're going to want to now start to record and understand those meaningful insights that are beyond the install. So how many times has that user opened my app? Are they engaged with my app? Are they wanting to understand and work with my business? The lifetime value of their spending revenue, you know, the number of purchases, whether it be, you know, virtual currency or, you know, in e-commerce or travel, you know, how many times are they making bookings? And then obviously the size of those bookings. You know, we just had a quick example there from somebody on the panel when they're referring to a TV that was left in the basket. You know, this is perhaps the more rich in-app events, but you can see that there's going to be a natural evolution from tracking these events through to the rich in-app events later on. Which leads me swiftly on to that fact. Quick example here for e-commerce. You know, what do those rich in-app events look like? You can see here if the larger, sort of more broader metric there is add to cart. Well, the next sort of stage in the evolution is what are they adding to the cart? What is that product? What is it? What is the SKU code? What is the value of that product? The currency? You know, this is giving you so much more information, but understanding that the network that sent this customer is sending you that specific type of customers. So if one of your business objectives was to acquire females that are 25 to 30 that may have kids, well, although they may not sort of self-disclose that information, you can start to analyze the basket content and start to say, right, this person added a dress for an adult that's, you know, 9 times out of 10 we're going to assume that that's a lady, but then they also had kids products as well. So we can sort of start to get some basic learnings and insights there, which in turn will change our purchasing behavior and our acquisition behavior going forward. Same thing with travel. If we know that they book to a certain destination at a certain time of the year, perhaps a winter holiday, they've gone snowboarding, skiing, well, logic kind of dictates that they're probably going to be looking to do something similar next calendar year. So you can gear up sort of autumn time, maybe it's a summer sort of trigger, but you can see the date that they purchased. Now you can then look to go and talk to them again. So what we're really saying here is, and rich in-app events are really enabling you to meet specific business goals, those type of users that you're trying to acquire. It also, going back to the acquisition source, enables you to understand which ones are actually driving you the greatest value, which ones are driving you loyal customers, which ones are enabling you to hit those business goals. And then with that travel example I just gave you a second ago, we start to dig into and sort of think about how we sort of target that consumer, and we'll come on to sort of the retargeting and re-engagement in a second. So once you've reached this stage, congratulations. You now have in-depth knowledge of your audience, which, let's face it, is super critical, priceless, and very valuable for your business. So taking it then from stage 3 to the next evolution, what we're really saying here is that now you have an understanding of your users. You know their sort of purchase patterns, their behaviors, how that is tied back to the media source where you acquired that user. You can start to work a little bit smarter. You can start to understand your users' behavior, but their lifetime value. You know that certain network has a drop-off rate, users or customers become dormant, let's say around day 7, day 15. Well, that's the time for you to be kicking in with your secondary messaging. You need to be saying, hey, you completed this tutorial, come back and level up, or you purchased this product, you added it to the basket, but you didn't check out. Is there anything that you were looking for that you didn't find that particular day? Those users that are dormant, they haven't opened your app. You're tracking this obviously through those in-app events. If they haven't opened it for a certain period, well, now you need to go back and say, hey, what happened? You've fallen out of love with us. Come back. We want to work with you again. And likewise, if you know that a network is driving you a certain type of customer, well, or a certain type of customer behaves in a certain type of way, well, then you can look to partner with other companies and look to create a lookalike audience. Anybody that looks and behaves in a certain way that's good for your business, makes sense you want to acquire more users from as many sources as you can that also behave in that manner. So then lastly, and I mentioned these are the kind of the rare breed, because these are the people that I guess didn't put their hand up, that we aren't sort of connecting the dots here. We want to understand who really has a grasp on the true value of their customers and understands true ROI. And if you're at this stage, kudos to you, fantastic. You're doing something that a lot of people are unable to do, strive to do, or are struggling to do. So a familiar phrase that I think was just mentioned a second ago by my colleague Daniel. We're talking about going beyond the last click, multi-touch attribution. Classic, tried and tested example, or an analogy, I should say, is the football match here that's taking place. Yes, the striker gets the goal, but not one single player is the representation of the team. It's a combined effort. Every single person has a role. So in this example, we've got sort of Facebook perhaps showing a banner. You need to record that. You need to understand the brand influence that that's had. Yes, other channels, in this example, Yahoo and Twitter, are engaging with the user on a different manner. There's a click there, but they're still yet to install. And then finally, Google tipped them over the edge and was credited with the install on this last click model here. I think what's also telling here is that, yes, you can work with the major players. Yes, you can work with Facebook. Yes, you can work with Google, but despite the size of these organizations, not one of them has true visibility into the entire ecosystem. So really, by working in this manner, you get to supplement their sort of lack of visibility in certain areas, and you then truly understand, actually, this user was influenced way back when, and I can see that their journey, and it was only action point number 3 that tipped them and led them to engage and download, and action point number 4. So the smarter companies in this world that are understanding that in terms of buying and targeting consumers, to focus all your budget and efforts on that, what presumably is the most effective, that goal, that conversion at the end, is actually wrong. You need to be looking way back and understanding the entire journey. Same thing about connecting the lifetime value. If you look at that past example where Google was responsible for driving the install, well, if you then just look at how much revenue that user spent within your app, well, you're only seeing the revenue from within that app, so you're already sort of blinkering yourself. And what you need to understand is that user probably went on to spend some money in your web store, or let's take it offline, footfall, they got driven into store. Well, if you're not able to connect the dots there and pull and tie all that revenue back to the original source of acquisition, which was the app, well, you still see that that user represents $350, when actually they're responsible for driving 225. And that, in turn, once you get that visibility, will allow you to be much more aggressive on your acquisition, knowing that you know the true value of that consumer to your business. So what's next? I mean, we've sort of quickly rattled through 5 stages there. If you can get to this point, I'll put up a choose an analogy there of the Matrix. You know, you are completely in control of everything, all right? You are running the show, and you'll measure it well. So there we go, 5 easy steps broken down. We've got a ton of information within our library on site, or you can contact me directly, and I would love to open it up and take any questions that you guys may have. Silence.
Nope, over here.
Hi. I was just wondering, in that example you had, the football example,
Yeah.
the first assist
Yeah.
and the exposure to the ad on Facebook,
Yep.
was that just an impressions-based exposure? So there was no click?
That may be the example in that journey. You know, we can obviously pull back impression as a touch point.
So is that something that's actually available through Appsflyer?
Yeah,
currently?
through the integrations that we have with
Okay.
with Facebook. You know, as part of being a mobile measurement partner, we can pull and record these type of metrics.
So
You
it
know, not all
doesn't-
networks pass this kind of data.
Yeah.
In the same way that not all networks passed cost, for example, through to attribution companies. We're constantly building out that list of companies that sort of provide that information.
So Facebook do that, and we can get just the impressions level?
Sure, you're going to be able to see
Okay.
the impressions that's generated.
Fine.